Welcome to the Comicstorian channel, where we take some of your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites, allowing you to catch up on your favorite comic books while going on with your busy life. We also have a tendency to do video game recaps here, movie recaps, and just give you general ranting. So if you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, but I'll tell you why you're actually here, and that's to see the next chapter of The Flash. As a quick recap, The Flash has recently discovered that there is more than the Speed Force in the world. There is the Sage Force, there is the Strength Force, and there is the Still Force. And they're all going to go to war very soon. He's been traveling the globe looking into each of these various forces and how he can potentially get them to side with him in this war, but it hasn't been going that well. Well, now he has eventually gone back to Central City, and while he was gone, Warden Wolf of Iron Heights has been having the run-of-the-mill over at Iron Heights and causing various problems for one particular individual named the Trickster. So let's tell you a little story about the Trickster before we get going into the current storyline. Now, as the original Trickster, James Jesse stands in his hideout in Central City. He says his name is one people won't ever forget. He is about to pull off the greatest con man has ever seen. It will have everyone's eyes, including the Flash, on him. But who was James Jesse before Trickster? Well, that's what this story is about. Growing up, James lived the life of a circus performer, though it wasn't the one that he wanted. You see, James's parents made it clear to him that they weren't proud of him because of all the time he spent reading books. They would tell him that he should be practicing the family business rather than wasting his time with those stories. And his parents, well, they were nothing but lying cheats. Hell, his parents named themselves the Flying Jessies, trying to copy the Flying Graysons. This was also after the Graysons' accident, and his parents just wanted to capitalize on their deaths. James wanted nothing more than to lose himself in his books, but time and time again, his parents would literally drag him on stage to walk the tightrope. The crowd could even tell that James didn't want to be there, even though they would call out to not push the boy. The crowd did nothing. James would eventually run away from that circus life, but the circus life was still always a part of him. He pulled off a con disguised as a lab tech at Star Labs, and he sold the tech to LexCorp. But even then, he lived that scam so long that he picked up a few things, like how to make shoes that let him run on air, which is how he got the name, the Trickster. He would always try to pull one over on the Flash, but one day the Flash said something. "You need a new gimmick. Everyone knows you're just a con man." And the Flash was right. The Trickster's acts were growing stale. Normally, he would just escape prison anytime that he was caught, but when he was sent to Iron Heights, well, everything changed. James tried to escape by using his old tricks, but Warden Wolf always caught him and beat him. People began to forget about him. Even some new kid showed up, starting to use his name. That was it, though. The straw that broke the camel's back. He had to get out and reclaim the title of the Trickster. But Wolf, well, he had a way of breaking people, and he told James that even after everything he had done, he wasn't impressive. "If you're so great, why doesn't anyone in Central City even remember you? You're forgotten, James Jesse," Wolf said. And that's when things turned for the worst. You see, back in the circus, James was scared of heights. In fact, he was so scared that there was only one escape route that he never took because he was scared of heights. Wolf was so mad to cover up his own skin, he burned any evidence that James Jesse was even there. However, it was something that happened after the show when he was younger that made him realize what the world really is. While he and his parents performed, there were people in the crowds pickpocketing everyone. His parents were stealing from anyone that they could. And when he asked how they did it, they ignored him, stating that if he wants to be someone, he needs cash. He must learn to deceive and to succeed. They were right. Money is everything. If you don't have it, you're just a waste. This new trick will be so great that the people of Central City will never forget about James Jesse, ever. They'll see. They'll be so impressed. But now, we go to the current issue of The Flash. The current storyline continuing the story of the Forces. Now lately, death has been surrounding the Flash, and not just because he's fighting Black Hand in Opal City. This is just an outlet to stop a cult who actually worships death. But what's really getting under the Flash's skin is that the perp he's searching for just can't be tracked down. Hunter Zolomon. Hunter was an enemy of Wally's that took up the name of Zoom, and now he's calling himself the True Flash. He's already gotten a head start on his quest, and that's where the real problem is. It's not a matter that Hunter is faster than the Flash, it's that he himself is getting slower. Maybe he just needs to fall back into a case to take his mind off of things. With everything that's recently happened with Batman and Iris, maybe he should just go home. If you're wondering about that, this is taking place right after a crossover storyline with Batman, and I will link that down below. Commander Cold, an individual from the future who has come back in time using the name Cold as his superhero alias, and he's trying to help the Flash, left him a message stating that he was needed at Iron Heights and that dropping off the Black Hand cult leader is a good enough excuse just to do that. However, when the Flash gets to prison, he notices something odd. All of the guards there, well, they're happy. Iron Heights was a very gloomy place, so why is everyone smiling and looking so cheerful? The guards tell them that they haven't had a new inmate in days. In fact, there hasn't been any incidents at Iron Heights in the past few weeks. Flash shrugs it off, calling out to Wolf, stating that he knows that Cold isn't his best friend or anything. But has he heard from him at all? Wolf turns with the biggest smile on his face, something very out of character for this man, stating, "No, I can't say that I have. I'm sure Commander Cold is just fine. Thanks for delivering the new inmate. We'll take good care of him." As the cult leader is taken away, he asks, can he be taken to Arkham instead? This place is giving him the creeps. Flash thinks to himself that this cult leader is not the only one. As long as he's known Wolf, he's never even cracked a grin, ever. Flash heads back into the city to go to work, but when he gets to the police department, he sees everyone there is smiles as well. He starts to wonder if maybe he's been away from Central City too long. He asks Kristen what's got everyone in a good mood, and she states asking what's wrong with everyone being in a good mood. Here, she'll show him why everyone's in a good mood. They both head to a holding cell, and she opens up the door, but there's no one inside. The Flash asks why is it empty, and Kristen says that that's just it. There hasn't been a single crime committed in Central City in weeks, not even a speeding ticket. Flash looks around, stating that that's impossible, and that's when Director Singh walks in yelling to the Flash, "Don't jinx us!" And he smiles, telling him, "I'm just kidding. It's good to see you, Barry." Flash asks him, isn't it a bit strange that they haven't had any crime in Central City? And Singh tells him that he should be careful for what he wishes for and just be happy. The three head back upstairs where Kristen gets a text and shouts that her boyfriend is here. "Barry Allen, meet my new boyfriend, James Jesse." Kristen runs over hugging him, and James says that he's heard so much about the famous Barry Allen. "I would have come by Iron Heights, but that place gives me the heebie-jeebies." Flash stares for a moment, stating that James looks familiar, and James tells him that, "Haha, I've just got that kind of face. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of each other, Barry." Singh then grabs his coat, stating that they're all going to be heading down to the pub, asking Flash if he would like to go. The Flash tells him no, he's going to head home for the night, and as he leaves, he looks at all of the townspeople, seeing them all happy. He leaves for a few weeks and the city is better off. I mean, he wasn't expecting a hero's welcome, but this is just too suspicious, right? Or is he just being paranoid? He needs to find Cold and figure this whole thing out. He hasn't been able to get a hold of Commander Cold since he got back. Why would he want him to go to Iron Heights anyway? So, Barry changes into his costume and begins to track down Cold's last known location since the two of them have been connected. He begins to feel out the frequency's trail and it leads him to an alley. He looks around and sees some of Cold's broken tech on the ground and he thinks that that's strange. Cold was very protective of his future tech. He would never leave it just lying around. He needs to go back to Iron Heights and figure out exactly what happened. So he returns to the prison where Wolf tells him that he hasn't heard from Cold in a while and there hasn't been any arrests. He should just relax. Just then the Flash hears someone calling out, and when he looks over, he sees the cult leader. He bows, telling him, "I want to thank you. This place is wonderful. I've never been so happy." Flash shouts, asking, "What is happening here? You were talking this way when you were caught. What changed?" With no other leads, the Flash races back to the precinct to talk to Detective Burns, who's recently been seeing Cold. She says that she'd rather not talk about it, but don't worry, she's happy. Flash tells her no, she can drop the act. Where is Commander Cold? Burns pushes Flash into a locker, asking, "Why can't you just let me be happy, please? You must be happy." Flash sees Burns struggling to keep the smile, but Burns turns around, banging her head on a desk, saying that it's much better if they're all just happy. Can't you see that, Barry? Soon, everyone in the precinct reaches out towards Flash, telling him, "We just want you to be happy too." Later, back at Iron Heights, James has turned the prison into a giant circus where Axel, the newest Trickster, says that they've got some new people that need to be re-educated. Kristen then runs up, giving James a kiss, stating that she has brought in her good friend Barry Allen. He's always been a downer. She knows that you can help him. James tells her that Barry and the rest of their guests will be right as rain as soon as they stroll through our happy machines. Now, don't be shy. Soon the group walks through the cylinder-like device and the Flash steps out, stating that he feels happy. Kristen runs over, asking if it's much better. "Don't you feel great?" And the Flash tells her, "I feel so happy right now." One of the guards laughs, stating, "Hokey dokey, let's get everyone all back home and we can keep living out a life of joy and happiness." While the group moves, Barry quickly ducks around the corner, changing into his Flash costume. Now, he knows who James Jesse is. He's the original Trickster. And now that he knows what he's up against, it's time to get to work. He was able to trick his way through James's machine by keeping himself at a low-level vibration so that it wouldn't affect him. So it's time that they took a look around the place too. But just then the Flash gets an incoming signal from Cold that his location is somewhere off in the prison. Flash rushes down to the lower levels to see Cold tied up to a pole, and as he gets there, there's a loud boom! Axel jumps in with his boomstick cannon, yelling to the Flash, "Look alive, Flash!" Flash asks what's going on, but Axel fires the cannon again, wrapping Flash up in a spring glove. Flash easily breaks free, asking when did he start working with James Jesse? Axel tosses a flaming alphabet block, asking, "You mean my idol? My inspiration?" When I heard the plan for James's trick, I knew I had to be there. Flash creates a tornado, throwing the block back, causing it to explode on Axel, asking, "What is James planning?" The explosion knocks Axel out, so Flash hurries over to help Cold, stating that he's sorry for being late. Cold gets up, telling him, "It's not that. It's the Sage Force. James is using his tech with it to control the people." Flash asks, "Is that what you called about?" And Cold tells him, "I didn't call you, Flash." Just then, both Flash and Cold are trapped in a bubble, with James yelling, "That prank was all me. Bet you didn't think Trickster would reveal himself as the greatest enemy, huh, Flash?" Flash tells him that he hasn't thought about him in years. And James tells him, "That's the problem. You know they pulled a scam on the devil, right? Even still, the people not remembering who I was, it made it much easier to work behind the scenes to prepare for the big return. One day, a gift from the heavens came to me, the Strength Force. So when Axel came to me for help, he told me all about the new forces, and I was able to gather just enough of the Sage Force to make some new toys to play with." Flash tells him, "Wait, the Sage Force gun that I found at Corte Maltese, that was you?" James then motions to Wolf, telling him, "Look how happy these people are." Wolf begins to snap out of his trance as he lunges for James, but James cracks him in the head, telling him, "You gotta be careful with that temper." As the trance comes back, Wolf stands up, telling him, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what came over me. I'm in a better mood now." James punches Wolf down, asking, "Why don't you share that love with Fleetfoot over there and tell him what happened? Tell him why everyone forgot about me." Wolf leans up from the beating, stating, "James was an inmate here. I tortured him for years, using him as a guinea pig to test Ironhide security. When he escaped, I buried the evidence, all of it. I made it so that James Jesse was a ghost." James stands up, asking the Flash, "Do you see it now? This is why I needed to set the stage for a trick worth my big comeback." But Cold holds his hands out, creating a snowflake, stating, "The problem with you using my own tech is that I'm a master of it too, so I've got a few tricks up my sleeve." The barrier shatters, freeing the two of them, and James jumps and throws exploding alphabet blocks, yelling, "No fair! You cheated!" Flash chases after James, telling him to turn it off, but Cold runs in, stating that they need to be careful with how they do this. James has been using the Sage Force for more than just making people happy. He's controlling them too. The people of Central City have been happy for a few days, right? Those people will do anything to protect their happiness, including killing each other for it. As Flash watches the monitors, he sees everyone erupt into an all-out brawl. He begins to ask, what has he done? James fixes his coat, asking, "Who am I to question what makes people happy?" Flash then gets ready to leave, telling Cold to handle James while he heads out to help the people. But as soon as the Flash turns his back, Cold turns and shoots his cold gun at Flash, freezing him in place. James starts laughing, stating, Cold has seen the bright side of life too. It was amazing how you thought you were winning for a moment, Flash." James then squeezes a rubber chicken, electrocuting Flash and knocking him out, telling him that he fell for the greatest trick of all time. Again. A short while later, Flash wakes up when James is blowing a party whistle. Flash is startled, and James yells, "He's alive!" Flash shifts, asking what is he going to do, and James tells him that he's just watching his trick unfold. See, he could kill everyone. That's something people would remember. But death feels so small. That's when it hit me. I could show Central City how fake their happiness really was. That'll leave them all empty. Flash begins to vibrate through the ropes, ripping them off, stating, "You know these can't hold me. I'm gonna save these people from your sick games," but as he gets up, he falls flat face first on the ground. James asks, "How are you gonna do that after I made your legs disappear?" And the Flash glances down to see his legs have been cut off. He starts reaching to where those legs used to be, stating that it has to be a trick. It has to be a trick! But as James leaves, Cold says that he should be happy. There's a silver lining in everything. You just need to know where to look. Flash shouts, asking, "What did you do?" And Cold tells him, "We were set free. Before James came back into my life, I was always angry. Mainly because I was stuck in your stupid time period. But now there's no need to be afraid. I missed my home so badly that is all I thought about. Afraid of something bad happening to my friends. Every time I think about them, it just makes me so angry." Meanwhile, on the rooftops of Iron Heights, James walks out to see his parents, stating, Just look at it all, son. Your greatest stage of all, and you've won. And you did it all for us. Back below, Cold stands up stating that he's not sure what happened. He was thinking about the renegades being hurt, and suddenly James's spell wore off. Flash continues to reach for his legs, stating that he needs help. He can't tell if James really cut off his legs or it's all in his head. So Cold tells him that he needs to think of something that will break the illusion. Think long and hard. Flash pauses for a moment and thinks carefully. He came back to Central City because he wanted a distraction. He wanted to run away from his failures. And James's spell took that away. Sometimes it'd be easier to believe the trick. Should just give into the magic and ignore what is really going on. He's been ignoring his own feelings a lot lately. It's not out of anger or fear or pessimism. Admitting to himself that he knows that he can deal with it, it makes him happy. Back up top, James pushes his parents over the ledge, shouting, "Do you remember what you taught me? To lie, to cheat, to deceive, to climb. No matter how afraid I was, I did it all for you, to make you happy." Just then, the Flash runs through the courtyard, grabbing both of James's parents, stating that the show's over, James. Good thing that you were already at Iron Heights. It's gonna save me a trip. James sighs, stating that it looks like he saw through the trick, but it doesn't matter. I still showed the citizens of Central City that they can't send inmates to Iron Heights. Flash grabs James, telling him to fix this or else. And James asks, or else what? You'll never hurt me. How about you use that speedy mind to figure this one out? Right now, you can either save the citizens of Central City or you'll stop the inmates I set free who have been stealing loot this entire time. Clock's a ticking, Flash! Dozens of lights begin to flash and blind the Flash. And when he opens his eyes, James is nowhere to be found. So first, Flash runs both of James's parents off the island, telling them to try not to ruin any more childhoods before running back and meeting up with Commander Cold. Cold says that he took a look at everything and James is way smarter than he should be. He's rigged his machine so that if they pull the plug on everything, it'll end up killing them. They need to use a small rig to reverse every single person under his spell, one by one. Flash suits up with Cold's makeshift rig, and he begins to run as fast as he can to each and every person in the city. He pushes himself harder than he has in months, past the anger, past the pain, past the failures. It hurts to run that fast, but he can't stop now. He has to save the city, even if it means taking away their fake happiness. And just as the Flash reverses the spell on the last person, the makeshift rig falls apart, and he says that there's one problem. Now what about the rogues? Cold flies in, stating that he got word from the Coast Guard that the rogues took everything back to Iron Heights. So Flash turns and races towards the prison, but as he gets close, there's a loud boom as the entire prison explodes. The Flash was too slow. Later, as the media arrives, one reporter says that they believe the explosion was to cover up James Jesse's tracks after his daring heist. But even with James missing, things are slowly starting to go back to normal. Kristen and Singh gather enough evidence to build a case against Wolf, and he's put away in Belle Reve, right next to Captain Cold. Singh has also reassigned Flash back to the crime lab so that he can examine the evidence from the Iron Heights explosion. Every piece is just a reminder to him of what he's lost. But hopefully, with this, he can. As Flash opens up the door to his office, he sees a man in a hood standing there, and the man looks back asking if this is where it happened, where his life changed. Flash tells him the area is off limits. He's not sure who he is, but the man turns back with a green glow in his eyes. If he had a name, it would be Steadfast. Flash says that he knows that energy. You have the Still Force. I thought only Grodd and the Turtle had the Still Force. I've been searching, but as he walks, he feels himself locked in position. Steadfast tells him that he should no longer go forward, he must go back. For the multiverse to survive what is to come, Barry Allen, you must remember. Remember something that you have forgotten from your past. A green light washes over the Flash as he sees himself sitting in a room as a child and his mom shouting, "Bartholomew Henry Allen, if you want to go back to the comic book store, we need to leave right now." The young Flash throws his papers. He runs out of the room yelling, "Coming, Mom!" And that's when there's a loud crack as lightning strikes. And that brings us up to the current cliffhanger in the Flash storyline. Now, there's another storyline that comes out after this, and we're going to be covering it very soon. Flash Year 1, so that we can get involved in the Year of the Villain and the Flash Still Force, whatever war they're going to call it, coming out very soon. The Force War, the Forever Force, I don't really know. If you enjoyed this, like I said at the beginning, consider subscribing to the channel and even turning on that bell so you can get notifications on all of these videos that we put out. We do quite a bit about all of your favorite superheroes, video games, and movies. And if you want to join our premium membership, check out our Patreon. We release videos early access over there, unedited podcasts, and behind the scenes, all for the fun of the people that are supporting us over there. So just consider that if you can, but either way, your support here is incredible, and thank you so much.